again, I love doing comparisons. This is like Call of Duty for ticketing websites. It's like, Call of Duty does absolutely nothing about their aimbotters and,
Hmm.
people like Richie who go on there and cheat
Yeah.
every day. It's ridiculous because then it takes away from like I said it out loud, and I think the couple next to us started laughing, where I was like, "Oh shit, why that room?" And then I just knew something crazy was about to happen.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back everybody to another episode of Banter on the Rocks. Got myself Tim here today as well as John as always. Episode 56. And first order of business, we would like to stop and talk about our brand ambassadorship. We are brand ambassadors for Find the Good brand, and Find the Good is focused on the good and building a community of people who want to help find that good. For all purchases, Find the Good gives back 10% to Mental Health of America organization. And when you order, be sure to use promo code BANTER805 and you'll receive 10% off of your purchase. So that's 10% for you, 10% back to mental health. Remember to use BANTER805 for that 10% off. And the mission for Find the Good is simple. Find the Good is here to get you through the bad days, the breakups, the ups and downs, and whatever else stands between you and a smile on your face. Today is Monday, September 22nd. Month is flying by.
Mhm.
And on today's show, we will discuss, of course, our banter takes to start it off. Then we have some NFL talk, some MLB talk, and much more. Um, Now, to get us started with our drinks of the week, I have been a little under the weather this weekend. I hope I'm on the mend now. I think this is day two of it being full on, but
Hmm.
three if we want to count the evening when it all starts setting in. I finally got my hands on some Taste Salud though.
Uh,
John, you've been a big advocate of it. You've talked good about it. I'm trying the energy and focus one though. Just got to get the mind right for
yeah.
this podcast, of course, and bring all the good info. But I'm having the strawberry watermelon mixed with some water. Really tasty, good
Yeah.
flavor, just the right amount of caffeine. I'm not worried about it right before bed either. I think it's going to be just fine. But this is what I need, so it's
Nice.
good stuff.
Yeah. All of them are good. I don't really have much of the energy focus ones because I'm always okay with that. I always like just the hydration one because I feel like that's the one that
Hmm.
I just need to hydrate a lot more. But
For
all of
sure.
them, all the ones I've always had taste great. The flavors taste like they're actual natural flavors, and yeah, the caffeine, the calories on them, sugar too, very low, so a good alternative.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah, no, found them at Target too. I mean, main big stores, big
yeah.
box stores. So
No,
good for
yeah.
them.
What I'm doing this week, I was at my parents this weekend a few times, hanging out. Had some Jamaica, so some homemade Jamaica, not the tea salud, nothing against tea salud, but every now and then the homemade as well. So a little homemade with some tequila, so
Nice.
dropping in some tequila in there. So always good, and it's still hot, like you mentioned, end of September.
Hmm.
Month has gone by quick, and this heat wave, I don't know if it's going away anytime soon. I was ready for the sweater weather, but
I
we'll,
know.
we'll
Yeah.
continue pushing through.
It's lingering. I know fall's
Yeah,
almost here, and yeah, it's only gotten hotter. This is like midsummer feel.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, so we'll go into our banter takes, and as always, we go on TikTok Live for our banter takes. So if you're watching us Monday, join us on the live, or if you're listening to us, join us on live on Mondays. Majority of times around 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time because we're on the West Coast. Um, and what our banter takes are, if this is your first time listening, these are takes that we share with each other, not seen before. Um, Tim's gonna defend it, sort of roll with it. I'm gonna defend what he sends me, and we're gonna have a conversation. Sometimes some of these takes are bold, some of these takes are outrageous. Sometimes they're very accurate, and we have great, arguments for it. And sometimes it's just to stir the pot and mess with some of you based on some of your comments we've seen, throughout our videos. But until proven right or very wrong, we're gonna, live up to these takes. We're never gonna back down from him.
Back in business.
So, my first
Mm.
take, most NFL offenses have been underwhelming and disorganized. Yeah, I feel like this season so far, offenses, there's been a good few games that have a lot of good offense, but most of the games have been very, how can I put it kindly, boring. They've been
Yeah.
somewhat boring, and it's, who knows if it's just the jitters for the first few weeks, getting back into that game mode, game speed. This isn't, preseason. It's not, off-season practice. It's real game wise, and um it just seems like it's not the high scoring we were expecting. Like I said, there's a lot we could talk about it, and it could sort of be part of our discussion. We've seen a lot of injuries too, and I think that's what's sort of making it a little boring as well. Because the one game I thought was still going to be pretty good yesterday that I just felt was trash was who was it? The Vikings versus Cincinnati. Both had
Mm.
backup quarterbacks. I still thought the way I think it's Browning, who's the Cincy quarterback, played
Hmm.
at the end of the game when Joe Burrow got hurt, that okay, he could do something against the Vikings. And the same thing, Vikings without JJ McCarthy, thought he was going to be, they were going to do well. And with Jay Jettas, Jamar Chase, I thought it was going to be a high scoring game. But since he just laid a goose egg, Minnesota, if you played Minnesota in fantasy, you probably got your butt whooped because that defense destroyed Cincinnati. So it just shows that there's a lot of these teams struggling with injuries, but just the offenses have not been there. Some games are very high scoring, but the defenses just suck. So I'm curious to see. We're like I said, we record on Mondays. We just finished watching Monday night. This was
Hmm.
probably a very entertaining Monday night football game, high scoring defense, pretty well too. Wasn't that wasn't underwhelming. I'm a little frustrated just because it was my team that lost today, the Ravens.
Hmm.
Um, but overall, good high scoring game. I hope we get to see more games like this because scoring just makes the NFL more interesting. Um, and nothing against kickers because we like kickers. We have our little kicker group, you know,
Hmm.
within us. But we don't always want to see the kickers and just defenses putting up goose, not letting teams score.
For sure. Yeah. No, it almost seems like a lot of NFL defenses have either gotten a lot better or just know how to play what the NFL's been
Hmm.
passing wise over the last few years. I feel like there's been a big difference with just even like passing yards. I feel
Hmm.
like it's just tremendously down. Like it's a shocker to see. I don't know, even quarterbacks eclipse 200
Yeah.
yards at times lately. Like it's just, it's hard to see. Of course, some QBs will have crazy performances.
Hmm.
Russ Wilson last week against the Cowboys, but the Cowboys, I mean, just gave up what over 300 yards to Caleb Williams this past week too.
Yeah.
So that defense is just horrendous, especially without Micah Parsons. No
Hmm.
surprise there. But yeah, and it just seems disorganized, and it just seems like maybe at times game plans just aren't really there. It seems like they're just going out there and relying on athletic abilities
Hmm.
versus how to attack certain defenses and just kind of running it out. It's almost like the NBA, for example, like offenses, like you hardly ever run plays. It's just go up the court and whoever's open just bomb a three, and that's
Yeah.
really what it's kind of turned into. Um, Another thing is I don't know if I feel like there's a lot of, careless plays at times too. Like, I hate to pick on your Ravens a bit here, John. I could easily do it again with my Niners, but this is just recency bias.
Uh,
Um, Derrick Henry, just not covering the ball very well deep in their own territory.
hmm.
It's been two times this season. and it's put them in big holes. You mix that with, Lamar Jackson not really being able to, scramble out, find an
Yeah.
option quickly. It just kind of creates a bunch of issues. Obviously, it's young in the season. I think that there's plenty of time for guys like, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry to figure
Hmm.
it out. But it was a more winnable game, during the first half it seemed like, and then just
Yeah.
kind of the tides turned. But that just kind of goes, for a lot of the NFL. And then you mentioned it, injuries have been brutal. Niners just found
Hmm.
out Bosa is going to be out for the year
Yep.
now. And that's just the cherry on top. CeeDee Lamb was another big injury.
Hmm.
You name it. There's been a zillion. Burrow, as you mentioned. It kind of brings up a topic too of like, there's not a whole lot of decent backup situations. I feel like we kind of talk about this with the NBA as well, John, where I don't know, a player goes down and the bench just isn't really able to support what that one
Hmm.
player did. There's too many, I don't know, just eggs in one basket, I guess is the good,
Hmm.
saying to put with it, because your QB goes down. It seems like you might as well chalk up your season altogether with a lot of these teams. I mean, you look at Joe Burrow going down. The way they played against the Vikings, that's probably the
Yeah.
worst loss in franchise history. That was
Yeah.
absolutely horrendous. And they still had a healthy Jamar Chase and T. Higgins out there, and you're still putting
Hmm.
up that
Yeah.
decimating of a loss. It's horrible. You mix that with a bunch of other teams too, though.
Hmm.
Carson Wentz can be serviceable. That team doesn't even have a really great defined starter, anyways.
Yeah.
But most of the league is like this, and it's I don't know, a bummer at times. So you get a decimating injury, and it just turns your world upside down.
Hmm.
That's what it feels like. So NFL needs to, I don't know, work on depth a lot too.
They need to, but do you think it's really possible? It's probably the question because
It's another thing too.
you
Yeah,
know the quarterbacks that are behind them, those are the only other guys. Like who are you going to bring in? Philip Rivers from retirement.
there you go.
Bring in Tom
Bring them
Brady.
back.
Like it's a little hard, and I don't think it's all a depth situation. I think it's a game plan situation where
Hmm.
teams probably game plan more for a Joe Burrow type of team. Not like if
Hmm.
Joe Burrow goes down, now we're putting in Browning into the situation, but we need him to play like Joe Burrow because this is what we planned for the entire year. Where it's like, no, that's not going to work because they're two different players.
Hmm.
If, a guy like Lamar Jackson goes down, you can't put in, let's say Joe Flacco was on the team, Joe Flacco to do what Lamar Jackson did because he's never going to be able to run it that way because he doesn't have the speed. So I think it's
Hmm.
more of a, not a depth issue, but more of a play calling issue where they have something set up, but it's only set up for those starters, those star players, and they're not ready for Joe Burrow to go down. They're not ready for CD Lamb to go down. They're not ready for, running backs. I think you can maybe get away with a backup doing well. But I think wide
Hmm.
receiver, quarterback are the two big areas that once they go down, it's pretty much done season.
Yeah. Do you think a lot of it could be NFL development, or do you think it kind of starts in college, working your way into the NFL? Because, obviously you have players
Mm.
that, God-given talents. Not everybody's going to be a
Yeah.
Jamar Chase. Not everybody's going to be a Justin Jefferson. But
Hmm.
you're asking for something probably a little bit more serviceable at times should your star go down. Um, I don't know if on the back end there's much you can do, but like you said, supply and demand. If it's not there, it's not
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, I think it's not really in college. I think it's NFL development. And like I say, it's setting up the game plans because I think every quarterback is a little different. Unless you get quarterbacks that are the same, everybody, for the Ravens, every quarterback that they have on the roster is a Lamar Jackson that could run, that could throw,
Hmm.
so they could keep the same game plan. But like I mentioned, if someone's just a little different, it's not gonna work out. So,
Hmm.
and if someone's and you got to think about it, those that are behind a starter, 80% of the time, they're not even as great of a passer. They're not as accurate. So it's like, how do you have to change your game plan up to make them successful? And really, it's not even about making them successful, but just manageable to win a game to get you to the Super Bowl because that's what you need, to win a
Hmm.
Super Bowl. You just need to get there, and you could go off of um any quarterback, doesn't have to be the best quarterback ever. You can win a Super Bowl with mediocre people.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Foles turned into Tom Brady, that
Hmm.
postseason run with the Eagles when
Yeah.
Wentz went down. So, it's definitely possible. We've seen it.
Hmm.
But yeah, I feel like altogether, you make great points, and I agree with you that, it's a different look. Say you go from Tua throwing
Hmm.
left-handed, you have a right-handed quarterback all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It's just a different look and it changes up a game plan. But maybe more NFL teams with these injuries just need to expect the unexpected at times.
Hmm.
But again, it's tough.
It's
It's really
tough.
tough because then you're game planning against a healthy defense,
Yeah.
and it's like, well, we're effed. You
Yeah.
got to figure it out, and it might take some time. But I will say, I too am really shocked about that outcome with the Bengals because I believe Browning is a very, very
Hmm.
serviceable backup in this league.
Yeah.
Like last year, a couple years back, it was when he had to cover for him.
Hmm.
The dude threw,
Yeah.
like 300 yards multiple times, like, and then even last week, like you
Yeah.
mentioned, he stepped in really good. Jamar Chase, I think, had over 150
Yeah.
receiving yards that game. I mean,
Hmm.
yeah,
But
it can
it
happen.
was possible. So like I say, it was surprised to see it. And like I said, this isn't taking a shot at the Vikings, but I don't think the Vikings defense is like a top five defense. They're a serviceable defense, great. All these
Hmm.
defenses are great, but to do what they did, it's surprising, and the one team sort of going back to the point of you just need a quarterback that you game plan around. The Ravens, we won a Super Bowl in 2001 against the Giants. We had Trent Dilfer.
There you go.
He's not an
Hmm.
elite quarterback, but he was serviceable. And, we had an offense that we sort of did around him. We had the running back, and he did what he needed to do, and nothing against Trent Dilfer, Super Bowl winning quarterback, give him his props. He got the team
Hmm.
there. The defense did a lot, I think, that year. But like I said, it's the quarterbacks are there. It's just how you game plan for them to be successful.
For sure. Yeah. And I just think, obviously decimating injuries, nobody
Hmm.
really wants them or expects them. And, it's a huge letdown. And maybe that's just it more than anything. It's just going
Yeah,
back to injuries altogether and
yeah,
just it just creates underperformances.
yeah. And we could see from the top 10 NFL so far passing, and this doesn't include Lamar Jackson
Hmm.
and Jared Goff because their stats aren't up. Jared Goff would make it into the top 10, I think. But the top 10
Hmm.
before today's game. Number one was Justin Herbert. So he's someone you would
Hmm.
expect to be a top 10 throwing QB. Number two,
Hmm.
Geno Smith. He's up there. Number
Okay.
three,
Hmm.
this one I think is a surprise for everybody. Daniel Jones, number three.
Yeah. He's
You
killing
know,
it.
Number four, Dax Prescott. Like I say, it's never a surprise to see him there because they have to throw so much, but he's there.
Hmm.
Number five, Drake May with how poorly New England has played. You know,
Hmm.
it's a surprise. Number six, Russell Wilson, another quarterback that doesn't like to throw deep.
Hmm.
This
Saw that
the
last
number
week.
six. Um, Number seven, like I say, Josh Allen. We expected him, in the top 10, probably a little higher. Number eight, another one, Matthew Stafford, always a throwing QB, so not surprised.
Hmm.
Number nine, Caleb Williams, you
Yep.
know, for a poor, Bears team, but and then number 10, your favorite, Trevor Lawrence,
Mm,
you know.
excellent.
So like I said, look,
And that's with all those Robinson drops too.
yeah, all those drops, and if you think about it, other quarterbacks you probably would expect to be throwing a lot and having the yards, Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, CJ Stroud, Aaron Rodgers. Jared Goff, like I said, I think he makes it into the top 10. Lamar
Hmm.
Jackson, I think, is like just outside of it. Jaden Daniels, he missed a game, but he, if he would have gotten like 250, he would be probably like 10 or 11. So he'll be out there. So it's like a lot of them are doing poorly, so
Yeah.
it shows offensively they're struggling. Running backs, same thing. That's pretty obvious. You know who's there. Kudos to Jordan Mason. One start already in the top eight
Hmm.
just from one
Yeah,
start.
no, well deserved. Yeah, and yeah, no, he was a great runner with the Niners as well. So,
Hmm.
no surprise there, at least in my eyes. And that offense could be really, very good. It's just consistency at the quarterback position, but they've got a lot of,
Hmm.
weapons, to play
They
around
do.
with, especially once Addison gets back. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I guess we'll see where it goes. It's early in the season,
Yeah.
but I think it is worth mentioning that a lot of, these star-studded players are either unfortunately injured or just kind of underwhelming so far,
Yeah.
and it could be a mix of multiple things. But yeah, just something where, it seems like kicker parlays are a thing right now, Yeah,
It's
not
worth it.
capitalizing with touchdowns, get
Yeah.
field goals instead.
Yeah, it might be a thing. It was a little tough this past weekend, but hey, we got
It
it this next
was
week. So,
for
but
sure.
yeah, hopefully we start seeing the offenses get better because all sports, it's what you want to see. You want to see offense. I know defense wins
Hmm.
games. Defense is crucial and probably the biggest piece in all sports, but you want to see offense. You want to see goals in hockey, goals in soccer. You want to see baskets, dunks. You want to see touchdowns. You want to see, back and forth in tennis. Like the offensive stuff is what we're looking for, but we know defense in the end fundamentally is probably the big part of sports.
Yeah, I gotta look up a statistic on NFL head coaching at the moment
Hmm.
and see if most head coaches were previous offensive coordinators or defensive coordinators, and maybe that's also something that's
Yeah.
factoring into, higher focus on where defensive play is doing well compared to offensive lately.
Yeah.
It could be a
I
thing. I don't know.
mhm. I think most of them usually are like, from what I've seen, a lot of them have to be like an coordinator or a defensive coordinator to be promoted to head coach. I've always seen it's never,
Hmm.
or even a special teams coach because I think Harbaugh for the Ravens, he was a special teams coach. Then he got his head
Yeah.
coaching.
Wasn't Joe Judge same thing?
I
Wasn't he
think so.
special teams with the
Yeah.
Pats and then got the nod with the Giants?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but right now Ben Johnson was an offense coordinator, Kyle Shanahan offense. Sean Payton, former offensive coordinator before.
Hmm.
Zach Taylor, quarterbacks coach. So he probably went in there, trying to be that quarterback guru. Because that's the other one I think they try to hire quarterback, gurus to help quarterbacks develop.
Isn't that what they wanted with the Giants and Dayball as well?
Stable.
Hmm.
Yeah. Sirianni, offensive coordinator.
Okay.
McDaniels, offensive coordinator. Dave Canales, Panthers, quarterback coach for the Bucks.
Hmm.
So makes sense. They need to develop
Hmm.
Bryce Young. Mike McDonald's. It just said a former coach for the Ravens. Doesn't say position. But yeah,
Is that Commanders?
Seahawks.
Oh, Seahawks. Got it.
Yeah, that's what this just quick search shows.
Oh, okay.
But
Well, I guess that's a good balance of offense and quarterback coach. But
yeah,
a lot of those offenses, minus McDaniels,
yeah,
are doing decent. So,
yeah, yeah. So
or just need more time.
yeah, but yeah, because even Sean McVay, quarterback or offensive coordinator, I think before he became a head coach.
Hmm.
Kellen Moore was just a quarterback, so but also an offensive
Hmm.
coordinator before the Saints. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of coaches out there. So, um, but yeah, let's hope for some more offense, some more football. It's always what we want to see, and yeah.
John sent me over my take. The Federal Trade Commission is investigating Ticketmaster, and they will find that they are not doing anything to prevent bots, and that they are doing the most bot reselling. If found guilty, this will change live concert process of purchasing in the future. Yes, super valid take here. I strongly believe this that Ticketmaster bots. I think most recently with Ariana Grande's concert tour,
Mm-hmm.
tickets were gone absolutely instantly. I saw
Yeah.
somebody that was on the verge of tears wanting to book tickets to the show and was had a spot in line and then got all the way up in the queue and said, "Hey, you're there," and then the queue took forever. Once they were in, blank slate,
Yeah.
nothing available. Everything was gone, swooped up on. And then, you go to check resale prices and they are astronomical,
Mm-hmm.
especially for her concert in particular. I think people are paying thousands upon thousands for those
Mm-hmm.
tickets. Um, Much more in face value. And Ticketmaster is a hot mess and known to do stuff like this. I think if I'm not mistaken, Taylor Swift was really upset with them. I think that there's been a few artists that have been upset with them in the past that they do these things where a lot of the true fans, who want to show up, can't because of, where
Mm-hmm.
ticket prices go. Obviously, popularity, reselling, things like that has become a business for a lot of people. But these bots going in and swooping them up is absolutely ridiculous. And then, like you mentioned, I guess, again, I love doing comparisons. This is like Call of Duty for ticketing websites. It's like, Call of Duty does absolutely nothing about their aim botters and,
Mm-hmm.
people like Richie who go on there and cheat
Yeah.
every day. And, it's ridiculous because then it takes away from, fans who really want to get in,
Mm-hmm.
gamers who want a chance, with Call of Duty. But yeah, there needs to be some change, and I'm really curious to see how this turns out because back in the day when none of this was, really available and it was,
Mm-hmm.
buy it at face value or try to get scalpers somewhere,
Yeah.
it was just so much easier. And then you
Mm-hmm.
felt more rewarded getting in
Yeah.
to, a concert at a decent value.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and it's also it's the fans that are there. It's not just those that have money that go. It's the true fans, the true Ariana Grande fans, the true Taylor Swift fans that show up, and not just for clout, you could say, because
Hmm.
the way the ticket prices are sometimes, the normal fans can't afford it, $1,000 for nosebleeds, that's ridiculous, How is that fair? So I agree with this, once and I truly do think Ticketmaster, and this is just my thought because of how I see it, Ticketmaster is the main contributor to this because they're not stopping bots. Yes, technology has gotten so great that people could create bots to buy thousands of tickets for themselves and then resell it and make, like you say, it's a business. I get it. You got to find ways to make money. But, it sort of takes away from that fan experience and what these concerts are meant for. It's not always to make the money, it's to provide a good concert and show for people that like the music, you know.
For sure. Yeah, and then it helps the artist and the artist appreciates obviously the fan feedback once they are there and good crowd reactions of course, but yeah, it
Hmm.
takes away from
Yeah.
what people go to concerts for. It's like, man, you spend so much money going to a concert. I mean, the expectations are so gigantic that
Hmm.
like if you're a person who might be easily disappointed, and you go into these things and you just paid $5,000 to get in
Hmm.
and cleared out the savings account for it.
Yeah.
It's a bummer, and
Yeah.
it really changes the aspect of things. It seems like it's I think a lot of people have trouble right now trying to find good affordable outlets to kind of, I guess, experience life, with, entertainment wise, for
Hmm.
example. And this is a huge part of it as to why it's so tough to do that because,
Hmm.
yeah, it's absolutely brutal. Taylor Swift, for example. I think there was this like Taylor Swift fan club thing, which, we signed up for it. We were able to get into it, and
Hmm.
then that allowed us to get first dibs on a ticket.
Hmm.
Still wasn't a guarantee because, I'm sure bots were able to infiltrate something
Yeah.
like that too. But we were lucky to get it at face value. Of course, tempted by resale prices, we still ended up, attending and
Hmm.
things like that. But it's a bummer, that it's kind of gotten to that because,
Hmm.
a lot of people are missing out on great experiences, and Taylor Swift's concert was certainly one of them. So
Yeah.
yeah, they got to make the change. So I hope they come down really hard on them.
Yeah.
Found guilty with this because it's some BS.
Yeah, I hope they do. I think you hit a lot of points, and the one thing I sort of want to like sort of dive a little bit deeper is like where you mentioned, this is an experience for a lot of people, and the outlet too, music. And we've talked about it here. Music really helps a lot of people get through some of these bad days. Find the good. Music
Mhm.
helps you find the good, helps you get through some horrible weeks at work, some horrible breakups, things that might happen in your personal life, professional life, anywhere, even when your sports team is, losing and they're 1-2, sometimes I just need music to help me get through it. And, if I knew I could go to this concert at face value, it would just help me feel better, enjoying someone I like to listen to and enjoy that experience. So I'm with you, Taylor Swift, we were able to get in. We got tickets for face value and we went, I didn't, I saw what I could resell it for and I was like, oh, I can make it an investment, but I was like, no, we're doing it because we wanted to be there. And I think it was like 2 years ago, we went to like 10 concerts throughout the year, but all of them we ended up getting them face value. Like I said, we've never have paid more than more than face value. We've never gone into the secondary ticket market to buy anything. I think I've only sold one pair of tickets once, and that's because I just couldn't go to the show. If I would be able to go to a show,
Mhm.
I'll go to it, unless something comes up, then I'll try to sell it, but like I say, that's the way I see it. One thing I heard in relation to this too, Billy Joel, I think, has set a great example, and I hope more artists sort of go off of this, but he doesn't sell any front row tickets for any of his shows. He blocks that off because what he said was he knows that when he sells front row tickets, they get bought by bots and they get sold to the millionaires. Those people that aren't as enthusiastic about his music aren't real big fans. They're just there to be there and say they were front row. So what he does is that front row concert, they go into the upper sections and they find people who are excited fans, fans that are really Billy Joel fans, and they give them those front row seats, which I think is genius because, like I say, it really puts that authenticity of fans in the front rows of those fans that are singing along, because you can look at a lot of concerts. There's fans in the front row that aren't even singing. They're probably just on their phones because they're there for social media clout.
Exactly. No, that's genius. I love that idea. And I love watching those videos of people going from the nosebleeds and then you get all the way down to like a front row seat,
Yeah.
whether it's a sporting event, concerts, Billy Joel.
Yeah.
It's awesome because, that's honestly, you're going to find maybe some of the truest fans up there in the
Hmm.
nosebleeds. You're
Yep.
just trying to find any way to get in, and then to be rewarded like that is truly awesome. That's a good I don't know, maybe a good note that a lot of other artists should
Hmm.
maybe start adopting if they haven't already. Because
Yeah.
yeah, you want that reaction in the front row,
Hmm.
It seems like you mentioned, like a lot of people that are in the front row, they're there taking selfies, they're there
Hmm.
just trying to, put their hands on the stage practically. And
Yeah.
that's how it's like, cool, good for you, but
Yeah.
there's a zillion other people that would love to get there too at, an affordable price versus using
Hmm.
a bot. So,
Yeah.
or just being outbid, plain
Hmm.
and simple. Um, yeah, let's see what happens. But yeah, I would love for this to be taken down. People get a little bit better shot at how to get into some of these concerts at a more affordable rate because
Yeah.
once you're in, cost of food's expensive. A lot of people want to buy merch.
Yeah.
Merch can be really pricey, obviously. So yeah, and honestly, it's also good that they're moving a lot of these to stadiums because then
Hmm.
it just unlocks more possibilities for
More
people to get
possibilities.
in.
Hmm.
Because yeah, people want to go and watch this stuff.
Yeah. No, for sure. So we'll see what Ticketmaster happens, what they do after this investigation. Like I say, I think Ticketmaster's they've been benefiting from this for many years, and I think it's finally great that they're investigating them because, they're gonna find out that they're the biggest culprit of this. So we'll see. And like I say, I understand people that do this for a living, reselling, but still, don't make the prices ridiculous where you're asking people to take money out of their mortgages to go to a concert to take their kid to enjoy.
Exactly. Yeah. And like the fees that they're making on top of even just the standard ticket price, it's
Yeah.
like, dude, come on. Like you guys will make yours and
Yeah.
some. Like,
Yeah. No,
relax.
for sure. So,
Ridiculous.
but yeah, those are our banter takes today. As always, agree or disagree with our takes. Let us know what you think. Join us in the banter. Let us know your thoughts as well, on the banter takes. And yeah, uh, next we'll we talked about it a little bit with one of our takes, but the NFL. We just got through week 3. Uh, Sad day for me and Raven fans losing to the Lions at home, but great game. Takeaways for me, and you sort of touched on it. Derrick Henry, second fumble, crucial fumble too, um, in 3 weeks, where normally he isn't one to fumble much. So I think he just sort of needs to. I don't want to say get it together because I think he has it together. I think it's just be more aware and really protect that
Mhm.
ball more because I think he has to just realize that the goal for everybody, they're not there to tackle him, they're there to punch that ball out because they already know tackling him is going to be hard. One guy by themselves, they know they're going to need some backup, so they're going to try to get that ball out before 3 other guys get there to tackle Derrick Henry. So Derrick Henry just, I think, needs to focus on that ball security to have it in a position where whichever angle it gets hit, it'll be safe. Because like I said, today Aiden Hutchinson got him from behind, and I think it caught him off
Mhm.
surprise. But like I say, that's your job to protect that ball as a running back, especially in crunch time. Um, so that was one take. The defense did pretty well. I think it's the same conversation we had last year. We just need to get tight. We need to get better. We can't
Mhm.
be making mistakes and we can't go off of that pedal. Defense needs to improve. Offensively, happy about Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews signing,
Mm.
playing well,
Mhm.
playing like the old Mark Andrews. He was getting pumped. I was getting pumped for him. Amazing catches, so he might be back. Um, and Lamar Jackson, teams are figuring out how to stop Lamar Jackson. I think he's struggling to
Mhm.
get as many runs as he has the past years, and it's something we're gonna have to sort of start figuring out how to work around because, like I say, we are such a talented team that we shouldn't be 1-2. We should be probably 2-1. Uh, Most likely 3-0. I think we should have won the Bills game. I think we could have won today easily if we didn't make mistakes and played a lot better. Um, and like I say, it's gonna hurt us. We're still not out of this. It's gonna be a long season for us because we can't take too many more losses.
For sure. Yeah, no, it seems like I don't know if it was like Detroit just playing really good defense is obviously one. I think
Mm,
they had 6 or 7 sacks on Lamar
yeah,
today, and they just really got to him. That D line was even double teaming Aiden Hutchinson. He was
yeah,
just getting through, no problem.
yeah.
That's one thing. Another thing is like I don't know if he's reading his I'm sure he's reading his checkdowns fine and maybe just nobody was really open and available, but
Hmm.
he just had no space to really even try to run forward. Even if he
Hmm.
did, it seemed like he was really hesitant about doing
Yeah.
it and then took too long and then somebody would catch up to him, grab him by the legs, and I could tell he was getting really frustrated.
Yeah.
But not only that, like, do you think at all a factor, John, with the Ravens is obviously they have serviceable backups.
Hmm.
Justice Hill had a good catch late in the game.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry really just is not known for receiving. If
Hmm.
he's out on the field in a passing down situation and they're kind of relying on just that last case scenario, it just seems like, you know, Lamar might have trouble kind of looking that way at
Hmm.
times. It seems
Yeah.
like he'd rather tuck it and try to run, but by then it was too late this
Too
evening.
late.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, they need to come up with a better game. I think they have a decent game plan, but sort of mixing it
Mhm.
up, yeah, those passing downs. Bring in Justice Hill, bring in Keaton Mitchell, they're more the catching speedsters. Um, and even though teams are gonna know exactly that you're passing, it's gonna open up your run game for Lamar more. Because like I say,
Mhm.
they have to put players on, Hill, Mitchell, because if you leave them alone, they're gonna get their 10 yards for sure and more. So
Mhm.
whereas if you're playing against Eric Henry, it's sort of like in basketball terms where with Russell Westbrook, you're gonna leave him on the 3-point line. Shoot it. You make it, great.
Yep.
Kudos to you. You won because of that. But if you miss and we rebound, we know that's, the more obvious choice. So it's like Derrick Henry to catch it. It's like go for it. If you want to play that game, just dumping it to Henry, you know, and you guys win that way. Hey, you guys have a good game plan, and it worked out for you. But most of the time, it isn't going to work out. So it's just that game plan. Don't try to be all fancy and try to hide schemes and all that. Like, just play normal football, you guys. Like, let's just get these
Mhm.
W's. Let's get to the Super Bowl before our window closes. Um, and then like the other thing I see with this Ravens, and sorry I'm ranting a little bit about my Ravens, but
No, stage is
f
yours.
first half, like I say, first half we look good. We gave the Lions what was it, like 10 plus minute drive that sort of took away pretty
Yep.
much the whole second quarter, but we were still in it. Third quarter we started off hot, but then it's sort of like we just lose that momentum. You know,
Mhm.
Towards the end of the third and fourth, it's just we just look blah and just horrible, which was what happened at the Bills, which almost you could have said happened with the Cleveland Browns. Like we're not finishing these games strong and well. And you sort of brought up the question, week one, is the pressure too much? And I'm starting to get scared that it might be too much pressure for this team.
For sure. Yeah, because we haven't seen it yet with Lamar, even trying to, get Super Bowl
Hmm.
bound. I feel like, it's great regular seasons and
Hmm.
then playoff time, it's just a different Lamar.
Yeah.
And we're already seeing that late in games and, these first two out of three games, arguably all
Hmm.
three, where I don't know if it's no adjustments. I don't know if it's too complacent with where
Hmm.
they're at and they let off the gas. But yeah, it just seems like something changes. And,
Yeah.
the second half altogether, like you mentioned, one good drive, but after that, it was
Mhm.
flatlined.
Yeah.
It's like what the heck happened? And then you have, Derrick Henry. Another thing with Derrick Henry too is he dwells too much on the mistake. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, another brutal fumble, but you're still Derrick effing Henry.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
one of the best running backs in the league, one of the best running backs, obviously,
Hmm.
of the last decade. Like, dude, like shake it off, go
Yeah.
out there and do your thing. But like you could see him on the sideline just consistently
Yeah.
pouting about it, talking to everybody about it. And if you
Hmm.
rub it off in a different way where you're not going around talking about it, I think
Yeah.
it just brings up a different mentality,
Yeah.
amongst the team. Um, I don't know. That's one thing, but you guys have all of the talent to make it happen. It's just
Hmm.
I think that's why it's such a big talking point is the talent's there. but just no capitalizing on it.
Hmm.
And much can be said, we'll dive into my Niners.
No.
Much of the same. You could say the talent's there, but in a different train of, unfortunate reality is injuries for us.
Yep.
And, we can add Nick Bosa now, season-ending ACL tear. Uh, just what we needed. When we already have Brock Purdy out the last 2 weeks, Mac Jones has looked very good. I've been
Hmm.
pleased with him. We finally have a kicker who can kick. Eddie Pinheiro, game winner. Love that guy already. Great job. I already saw one of the sayings is Pinheiro is dinero. So,
It's a good one. It's a
he's
good one.
money. Yeah, I like it. I'm gonna run with
Uh,
it. I think it's really good. Um, and CMC, knock on wood, he's still healthy. But it's like, man, the way things are going, it's brutal. Kittle obviously went down too. He's
hmm
on IR. At least 2 more weeks without him. Still waiting on Ayuk to come back.
hmm
So, but somehow we still find a way to keep winning. We're 3-0 now. You can say, a couple of these games have been a little bit lighter. Seattle is a good team, for
hmm
sure.
Yeah.
But, Saints, meh. And then, we have the Cardinals who, I had a winning record, same record going into this game as we did, but we always have trouble against them for
hmm
whatever reason. But I don't know. It's tough. I will give Kyle Shanahan his props. He is coaching the team very well this year. He's utilizing everybody well. Would like to see him ease up a little bit on CMC's usage a bit, um,
hmm
and give Brian Robinson a little bit more, run, I guess
Yeah.
you could say, because he's a great backup. But yeah, no, Mac Jones seen enough. Mac Montana, he's great.
Yeah. No,
He's
yeah,
got
the
the good swag.
49ers, yeah. Yeah, no, for sure, but they've been playing well. It's unfortunate. I think I saw somewhere they're like the last like 6 years are always in like the top five with most injured players every season.
Hmm.
And they're already
Yep,
cracking that top, 10 already
one of
this
one.
year.
Yeah,
And like I said, those are big players. Brock Purdy, he'll come back from the sounds of it, but you're lucky you have a decent quarterback who plays a little bit like Brock Purdy. So that's why the
yep.
game plan works and that's why you guys could win. But losing someone like Bosa, that's going to be a hard one to fill because we look back. Let's not dwell on it too much, but look back at the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. Once you lost your, who was it that you guys lost?
Greenlaw,
Greenlaw.
Trey Greenlaw.
That game just totally switched because of one player. You lost one of your main
Hmm.
players. So it shows, sometimes losing one player could turn a switch. So um we'll see. But yeah, you guys, I think the win against the Seahawks was a good win. Must need Saints, Cardinals. You guys got Jags next. Should be manageable based off how they've been playing.
Should be.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and then that's where you then go into a little tough, road games, Rams and Bucks.
Yep.
Um, but then you got Falcons, Texans, Giants, and then you get the Rams again.
Yep.
And then
Rams blew it.
yeah,
Um,
they blew it
I think that
bad.
team's very good though, still. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they blew it really bad, but that team is I do think
hmm
really good. But yeah, no, that was ugly.
Yeah. Yeah, looking at your guys' schedule, honestly, you guys get past the Rams and Bucks and could win one of those. Your next challenge won't be the Rams again, and then most likely the 49ers or the Colts, and then the
Hmm.
Seahawks end of the season. So
Yeah, it's a lighter schedule for sure. I
it
I
is.
think we're kind of due for one, so that's
Yeah.
nice. But yeah, it's a bummer that health is playing a factor again
hmm
in, a season where in a lot of people's eyes, 12, 13 wins was very practical.
Yep.
Unless you're Colin Cowherd, where, he started off by saying, "Oh, not going to make the playoffs," and then, we win three in a row, and now all of a sudden he's saying, "Oh yeah, no, I always thought they were pretty good." Like, shut up.
Hater right there.
Um,
Hater.
Absolutely, absolutely. But he's got to get his takes in too. I get it. Um, but yeah, just don't back down on your takes. We don't.
Yeah,
Come on now.
we won't.
Um, yeah, no, I mean we can kind of talk about that Rams game. You
Hmm.
brought it up on yesterday, John, where after that first half, what was it, 17 passing yards for Jalen Hurts? Um, elite? I
It,
don't know.
so
Good
this
second
is what I
half.
good great second half, I will say. He won the game for the team,
Hmm.
but elite, I'm not gonna call him elite. I'm gonna call him a serviceable quarterback because he does what
Hmm.
he needs to do to win. Like I say, I need to go back and look at highlights because I sort of want to see what some of these plays were, but when you have AJ Brown, just throw it up there for AJ Brown. He's going to get it, against any cornerback. He's one of the most elite wide receivers out there. Um, but 17 yards and a half, you cannot be called an elite quarterback. Now, yes, he is a great quarterback. We've always said he's been great. He's serviceable. He's won a Super Bowl, and he helped that team win a Super Bowl, but let's see. I want to see them do that the whole game, not just rely on the tush push for the first half, and then if they're losing, start throwing it.
Yeah, in again, the tush push is getting a lot of talk again this week, John,
Yes,
where
I saw.
where people are like, oh no, they're jumping, it's all false starts, and people are
Hmm.
more bothered by it this week than maybe ever. I guess you just have to play the Chiefs, um, 1 week, and then just the momentum carries from there.
Yeah,
But yeah, a lot of people just, are unhappy with it and think it's just a complete cheat code. So
yeah.
yeah, it affects games when, you're down short in distance and,
Hmm.
you have the ability to kind of draw that up and you guys run it the best. You guys get away
Hmm.
with false starts consistently. I think the announcers were even kind of talking about that, at least on one of those
Hmm.
tush push plays. Um, yeah, one thing I will say is AJ Brown, Devontae Smith sightings were there finally.
Hmm.
Took them a while. They finally figured it out, which is phenomenal. It's in a game where Saquon was kind of lackluster on the ground because that Rams defense is actually
Hmm.
pretty good. Um, but yeah, no, AJ Brown over 100 yards touchdown. Devontae Smith
Hmm.
60 yards touchdown. Uh, he hit him up finally.
The,
So
yeah.
yeah, great second half though. That's what it took.
Yeah. Yeah. But let's see if we have to send out the milk cartons after this week for them missing because we don't know
Yeah.
that yet. Let's wait
Yeah.
and see. Let's not. I know Eagle fans right now are probably like talking shit to us, saying like we told you, all these Eagle fans saying, but it's like 17 yards in the first half. That is just trash for a quarterback. Like, I'm sorry to
Mhm.
say, like you barely threw anything. You guys were just running. You weren't able to, you know, carry on from that run. You weren't successful and you were still scared to throw it. You guys only started throwing it because you knew we're down. The only way to win is by throwing the football because we're wasting too much time. And hey, he got it. And, let's see it long term, you know? So,
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see it long term. Let's see if he can, stay
uh,
consistent with these passing yards. Because if I had to go over under of 25 passing touchdowns this season, I'm going to take the under on him.
mhm.
I just he hasn't consistently really,
Yeah.
even has he even eclipsed 30 in his career? I don't think he
Um,
has.
Let me see. Jalen
30
Hurd.
total touchdowns, including rushing, yes, but passing wise, I don't think so.
Yeah, year by year. He might be close at times, but let's see. No, that's college. I don't care about his college career much. Nothing against like his college career, but uh
Hmm.
stats. Where's ESPN? They're always just taking me to all these news articles. I just need to look at stats, you guys. Stats.
Unbelievable. That's all it takes.
Yeah. But no, like I say, I'll give him his kudos. He played well. He ended the game well, and that's why the team won. But let's see if he continues it. Let's see how this next week is, because from what we've seen, it's not going to happen forever.
Got it here, John.
Yeah.
Hasn't surpassed 23 passing touchdowns in a season before.
Yeah.
So yeah, 25. I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah. Not part of that elite QB, you know. What would you say?
Does he
Uh,
really only have three this year?
Yeah, I think
That
so.
was his that was his
Mm,
first all three came last game. Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. The
uh,
the you know the laughing sort of shows what we
yeah.
sort of think and what a lot of people think of Jalen Hurts, but like, and we're probably gonna get shit for this, but I really don't care because we're here to talk about it. Jalen
Yeah.
Hurts, Hall of Famer.
I guess a big question with that is Russell Wilson a Hall of Famer? Because as of right now, I still like that comparison. A lot of
Yeah.
people crapped on it, didn't like
Yeah.
it. But after kind of dishing it out, I did some more searching on that comparison, John. There's a lot of comparison on Russell Wilson and Jalen Hurts, just
Hmm.
in career altogether. I don't know because Jalen Hurts. Yes, he's a great quarterback.
Hmm.
Because he's dual threat. He can, he does
Hmm.
exactly what his team needs, but his team has been stacked. And then
Hmm.
in years where it's not stacked, yeah, they can maybe make the playoffs at 9-8, which is
Yeah.
crazy. But once they're there, they get blown out, and then they throughout the season never beat a playoff caliber team.
Hmm.
That was somebody's argument this past week. So it's like, can you get in being carried by your
Hmm.
team altogether? And I think the big question is can you win a second or third Super Bowl? Then I think I'd consider it versus a player where, let's just say Lamar Jackson, for example,
Hmm.
highest passer rating of all time, not even including all of the rushing ability he
Yeah.
has. Is he a Hall of Famer in my eyes if he never wins the Super Bowl? Most likely, yes,
Hmm.
because of, pure
Yeah.
stats and what he's been able to do. He's a difference maker. But I think it's in comparison, it's going to take at least two Super Bowl wins in my eyes for him to get it.
Okay.
What do you
Yeah.
think?
I agree. I don't think he's there yet because he has been carried, and I know people will say like, well, Lamar Jackson hasn't even won a Super Bowl. Yes, but like you mentioned, QBR rate, his ratings are the highest. It was mentioned today in the broadcast. If you didn't watch it, you didn't see it, but look it up, as a throwing quarterback on top of all his running. So I still think like with Lamar Jackson, there's going to be a conversation. He may miss that first ballot Hall of Famer because of not winning a Super Bowl if he never wins one. But winning a Super Bowl for him will sort of put him automatically in. Jalen Hurts needs to win another one. The reason they even got, I think, into the playoffs and did well in the playoffs, Saquon Barkley. Saquon was a
Yep.
no-show at the Super Bowl. That's why Jalen had to step up the way he did this past week, and that's why they won. So that's why I say we give him his kudos. But they wouldn't have even been there, I think, without Saquon. Saquon
Mhm.
took that team to the Super Bowl on his back. So, if Saquon wasn't there, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Jalen Hurts wouldn't be an elite QB. Um, and it'd be totally different, So I don't think so. And like I say, I think he needs to win another two, have that second Super Bowl, maybe a third. But like you say, if Russell Wilson's not in, Jalen Hurts isn't in.
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah, I all the same thought. Was going to bring up Saquon Barkley there too.
Hmm.
You did it last week also. I mean, it took Saquon Barkley to rush for 2,000 plus yards
Hmm.
and get 13 total touchdowns and
Hmm.
absolutely carry them. And then when it came to the Super Bowl altogether, though, John, like Jalen Hurts performed very well,
Hmm.
but he didn't even have to do that much to beat what the Chiefs were doing
Yeah.
because that Philadelphia defense was decimating
Yeah.
anything the Chiefs could do, like just
Hmm.
throttling them. And it could, they Hurts and Saquon could have played really crappy the whole
Yeah.
game
And they
and
probably
maybe put
would have
up
won.
25 points and would have won.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it goes to show the team around you makes all the difference
Hmm.
in the world, in comparison, to somebody who's, elite stat wise. Josh Allen, for example, I
Hmm.
I think everybody on planet Earth would consider him elite, for
Yeah.
what he does with a team that roster wise seems
Hmm.
pretty underwhelming.
Yeah.
Um, so he's a big one too. Joe Burrow, he's had, decent teams in the past. I think that Super Bowl year, but as soon as that defense left,
Hmm.
they've had to rely on him more than ever, but he hasn't found that much success after. So,
Hmm.
it just goes to show where a lot of these, quarterbacks, elite, great, really need to rely on a lot of their teams. And I think that's a big difference maker too.
Yeah. No, yeah. It is a difference maker, like I say. Yeah. I literally thought Joe Burrow was gonna make it back to Super Bowl, but yeah, once he lost that defense, it was game over for the Bengals. Bengals management, just in
Mhm.
general, sort of sucks. So, not
Oh, it's awful.
surprised. Um,
Yep.
but but yeah, it's just we'll see. Like I say, not trying to hate on Jalen Hurts. Like I say, he does what he needs to do. He's great at running, great at the tush push, but for me, not elite. These Philly fans are probably going to kill us again for saying that, but this is our thoughts. I think there's a lot of people that think the same, but kudos to him. He had an amazing game and they won because of Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, for sure. In quick question, John. In
Yeah.
in the league at any given time, we'll just say within, your lifetime, my lifetime,
Hmm.
how many quarterbacks in the league at one given time do you feel like are elite in your eyes?
Um, I would say probably like three, 2 to 3. You can only look
Yeah.
at elite. A lot of them are serviceable. A lot of them are high performers, you could call them. But elite that they're gonna win the game, there's only 2 to 3. And I think it's Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Patrick Mahomes. Like I say,
Yeah.
Joe Burrow would have been on that list previous years, but nowadays it's sort of that team around him to make him better.
Hmm.
Like I say, Justin Herbert, same Matthew Stafford. Like I say, Matthew Stafford has a ring, has a lot. Like I say, he's more of a serviceable quarterback, you know. Um,
Hmm.
like I say there's a lot. And I'm looking at this one thing, ranked QBs. Jalen Hurts is at
Hmm.
14 out of the
Hmm.
current
Hmm.
players. So like I say, elite, let's not call him elite, let's call him great. Let's call him good.
Yeah.
Gets you what you need to win games. Like I say, it's like Kyler Murray's above him based off this metrics, off of the ringer.
Okay.
Uh, Jaden Daniels above him.
Hmm.
Jared Goff above him.
Oh yeah.
Geno Smith above him.
Wow. Okay.
Eh, Jordan Love.
Yeah.
We have CJ Stroud, Dak Prescott, Matthew Stafford, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson.
Hmm.
All quarterbacks I think I would probably take above Jalen Hurts, to be honest.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of one name there
Uh,
that, I'd really take Hurts over
hmm.
him. Yeah, it's just where it's at. And
Yeah.
again, it comes down to passing ability. And, I guess an argument this past week with our video, John, was, you know, um, uh, just him making football plays, for
Hmm.
example. It's like, yeah, he does running very good.
Yeah.
and he does passing okay. I mean, I guess you combine them both, and he's great. But that's really where it stops. He does just enough. He's serviceable. Um, and that's about it.
Hmm.
Again, it's not really a bad thing, and he does just enough to win a Super Bowl, which
Yeah.
is all I guess fans and the franchise could ask for. But yeah, that's where the buck stops. And quite frankly, another thing is they don't think that we've reached um his prime yet. And
Yeah.
it's like, he's late 20s. He's getting up
20,
there.
27, 28, I think, something like that.
Yeah, and he's consistently been passing wise, he's kind of flatlined. He's
Hmm.
plateaued where he's at, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's some of the Eagles talk. Like I said, we'll move on. I think another bad week for injuries. A lot of injuries this week. What do we see? Who went out?
Oh, Najee
Bosa,
Harris,
Najee
Achilles,
Harris, Achilles. He's out for the year. Great for our
CD
Omari and
Lamb.
Hampton, fantasy
Yeah,
CD
and he
Lamb. But
played very
that,
well.
yeah, CD Lamb's gonna hurt us going out 3 weeks right now. But
Yep.
it looks like he might be going onto IR as well. So that's a tough one. Um, who else went out? I feel like there's,
There's been a bunch. Shout
yeah.
out, I guess, Marcus Mariota played very
Hmm.
well. I feel like, he
Yeah.
had one fumble, but, did everything his team needed him to blow out the Raiders.
Yep.
Um, uh, you know, um, who else is out there?
Yeah.
Um, I feel like there's definitely been more.
Yeah.
But question,
Hmm.
there's a lot of talk on Ashton Genty, and it's coming from both, former pros, analytics,
Hmm.
and people just even just Joe Schmoes, just underwhelmed with Ashton Genty altogether. Do you feel like it's uh, too soon? Do you feel like it's him? Do you feel like it's the team around him? What do you think so far? Because I know you were a big advocate for
Yeah.
Ashton Genty this offseason.
I think it's too soon, and I think it's
Mhm.
just how the game plan's going. Um, I think we talked about it. Who's the OC there? Chip Kelly, is it?
Chip Kelly. Yeah.
Chip Kelly. That should tell you a lot. Chip Kelly, not a
Yeah.
successful
Yep.
NFL coach. College, amazing coach. Maybe
Hmm.
keep him there. Um, but yeah, I think it's still too early. I think he still has a lot of ability because he is a great runner. Um, some of his tendencies, probably from playing at Boise in that conference, sort of showed up this week. Just the
Hmm.
blocking, not to, sort of making it seem. So he needs to work on that a little bit. But I still think it's too early. Like I said, it's his rookie season, game three. Always playing from behind. When you play from behind, you're not going to use your running back the way you have to, and like I say, you could say like, well, he's not doing anything in the first half. Well, it's like if the offensive line isn't blocking for him and he's not getting those openings, like what do you expect him to do? Just to run over? Nobody could really run over people other than a running back like Derrick Henry, who still struggles to get his runs in. So I still think it's too early, but I think there just needs to be a little bit of game plan changes in Las Vegas.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's more of a team around him. I think his time will come. A lot of people comparing him to Trent
Mm.
Richardson already. I think that's ridiculous. I think he's a better talent.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I was just curious of what you thought
yeah,
with Ashton Genty.
yeah,
He's 17 carries this past week. I feel like I'd love to see him get more than 20 every game, just to
yeah,
see what, he can do with it. He
yeah.
can obviously break out huge runs. He did it all day long in
Hmm.
college. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
yeah. And then, another big injury too. Sorry, Mike Evans.
yeah.
Just
I
thought
was
of
about to
another
say
one.
that. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a tough one for that team with, Godwin still out. But they got Emeka. We've raved on Emeka. We're fans of Emeka.
hmm
Hopefully he just needs to stay healthy. But I still think it's gonna hurt my hot take of Baker going to the Super Bowl and winning MVP for the season.
Yeah, no, it's a tough one because then you're relying on Sterling Shepard. You
Hmm.
do have two good backs there, though, that do receive with
Yeah,
Rashad White. He's known to do it previously, Bucky
yeah.
Irving. And then Ibuka, he's dealt with some injuries. I know he was kind of on a little bit of a snap count, had an
Hmm.
absolutely ridiculous catch. That
Yeah.
one-handed catch was insane. He is an incredible talent. I think the sky's the limit for him.
Hmm.
I don't it's a bummer to see, Evans go down, but I don't I think they'll still win. I
Yeah.
have a lot of faith in them. Defense looks pretty good. But on the other side of the ball in that Jets game, we might I don't know if we're starting to see, what we were hoping for, at least for our fantasy team, Braylon Allen starting to outperform Brees Hall.
Hmm.
I guess it only took till week 3,
Yeah.
but it's kind of noticeable.
Yeah, it is, and like I say, I'm a Brees Hall fan. I've always been a Brees Hall fan, but I just think running backs, you only get a few years with them,
hmm
and I think Brees Hall has come to the end of his tenure with the Jets. I think he needs that little move away to be successful, just the way Packers running back. Oh,
Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs is doing,
hmm
was amazing with the Raiders, but once he ended up going into that funk where there were always backups that were outperforming him, and then eventually he goes to the Packers, and he is a cornerstone for these Packers being should still be undefeated, but a great team that could make it into the Super Bowl. So,
hmm
I think, you know. Brees Hall needs that little bit of a change. But we'll see. Like I say, they're always going to be playing from behind, and I think Braylon Allen's better better catch running back to help the team out. So um, we'll see.
I There might be some teams out there that, look their way. I don't know if, a team like the Texans thinks about, a trade
Hmm.
possibility. Arizona, James Conner with that
Hmm.
loss, that's another injury.
Yes.
Already deemed out for the season,
Hmm.
unfortunately. He's had some brutal injuries and he's a phenomenal
Hmm.
running back. So that's a bummer to
Yeah.
see with him. Um, Definite possibilities. Let's see if they kind of move on from him. Jets are kind of a lost cause, so maybe
Hmm.
offloading him and giving a guy like Braylon Allen, garbage
Hmm.
time season points is
Yeah.
worth it. It would be good for us.
Yeah.
And then speaking of other kind of crazy games, the Cleveland Browns and Green Bay Packers. That game was so boring the entirety of the game. And then in the fourth quarter, the Browns just came alive, like it and just stepped up when they had
Yeah.
to. Jordan Love made one of the most boneheaded plays of all time with that throw. And it's just unbelievable because the Packers, they just look downright unstoppable the first two
Yeah.
weeks, and then you go and blow it to a team like the Browns.
Out of all teams.
But I will say, out of all teams, Quinshawn Junkins is the real deal. That dude looks
Hmm.
great. 18 carries, 94 yards, bolted off a big run to set him
Yeah.
up, and he capitalized with a touchdown in the game too. Flacco 142 and a pick.
Hmm.
That's all that was needed, though.
Yeah. Serviceable QB that gets you the wins. That's
There
what Joe
you go.
Flacco does.
Yeah.
That's what Joe Flacco
Absolutely.
does. But yeah, no, I was surprised with that game. Kudos to the Browns. I was gonna ask you, are the Browns a real deal? Because I know they kept it close for a while with the Ravens last week, but then we just blew them out of the water. But could they have something there?
Yes, because of the defense. I think that defense is phenomenal. I think that The secondary is really good. Obviously, Myles Garrett being forefront of that defensive line just makes for, just hell on earth for
Yeah.
offenses. And I think that's, he's just one of those guys that, he's worth every penny of that contract where he's just always constantly making a difference. We saw, how much he was hounding Joe Burrow that one week
Hmm.
this season. I think it was the game that Burrow went out, unfortunately,
Yeah.
because, he's just getting hit so much by Myles Garrett. Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome,
Yeah.
like just the defense is just full of just complete ballers. So I think that that could be, a
Hmm.
recipe where, if they hold a great Green Bay Packers offense down to 10 points a game, you
Yeah.
only have to put up 10 plus. It's a possibility they could do something. They could be better than the Steelers.
Yeah.
That should have been a good hot take. Better
That could
team
have
than
been
the
a
Steelers.
better.
But the one thing I will say, I know you are a huge Joe Flacco believer, John, but I'm curious, is there ever a moment where the Cleveland Browns, I don't know if this is even the way that they would think about it, where it's like, okay, we actually have a shot here at a playoff berth.
Mhm.
Do we take out Flacco just to, ensure that, or is it, do you keep him in because he gives you that possibility better than like a Dylan Gabriel does?
I've always thought about this. If I was the Browns owner, I would keep Flacco in until I knew my postseason chances are pretty much gone. Um,
Okay.
just
Hmm.
because as of right now, Joe Flack, like I say, if they were 2-1, 1-2, it sort of shows, okay, Joe Flacco still has it in him. He could take this team to win a Super Bowl because we have one of the most dominant defenses. And we just need to get an offensive game plan. But I think once they get to a point where it's sort of like, no, we're not really going anywhere. We aren't gonna be Super Bowl contenders. Let's let's put in Dylan Gabriel. Put in, Sanders and see who wins the starting job.
Hmm.
Give one player one game. If he throws three picks, all right, let's bring in the next guy. And if he also throws three picks in the same game, all right, let's just put Joe Flacco in and this experiment failed. But you got to try it because you can't build a franchise around Joe Flacco, unfortunately, at his age. If it was 10 years ago, then I'd be like, yeah, but at his age, you got to think of the future if you're not going to win a Super Bowl this year or if you're not contending for it.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Just looking at their schedule too. I guess before I go to the schedule, John, do you
Mhm.
think that they have a chance?
Mm, it's going to be hard. They got to be
Hmm.
near perfect after these first three losses. I think they can only
Yeah.
get another 3 to 4 losses, but it's already going to be you're going to face the Ravens one more time. That's one. Like I say, Cincinnati, I think they'll be able to beat. Pittsburgh
Mhm.
depends on what type of um Aaron Rodgers you get. So it's still possible, but that's what I'm saying. If they lose another 3 games in a row, they go 0-6. I think it's where you throw in the flag.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see that. Because the next two games are tough. Next is the Lions.
Oh yeah,
That's a real
that's
test.
yeah.
At the Lions as well. And then after that, you go to the Viking, or you're home against the Vikings, which to the is JJ McCarthy back by
Hmm.
then? Are we going to still see Wentz? That could be a possibility.
Yeah.
And then you go at Steelers
Hmm.
um, in October 12th, and then after that, you get the Dolphins.
Hmm.
So, I mean, if they can pull off, let's just say that they lose to the Lions and then they pull off a win against the Vikings and Steelers, and then you jump into Dolphins, Pats, Jets back to back to back.
Yeah. I think the
Maybe.
Pats might be a challenge, but Dolphins should be a
Yeah.
win the way they've been playing. And the way this defense plays, Tua, I think Dolphins shouldn't even play Tua just for safety reasons. Pats,
Hmm.
like I say, will be their big challenge, and then the Jets. It's the Jets.
Yeah. yeah, after that week one, it's like back to reality for the
Yeah.
Jets. Even though they did almost beat the Bucks,
Yeah.
surprisingly. I don't know how that was even a possibility, but
Hmm.
still lost. But yeah, in it's like they have these weird waves of tough games and easy games.
Hmm.
I don't see it for this year, but I do think they'll get to a point where they will hold kind of a in-season tryout.
Hmm.
And then, there's a lot of speculation also with all of these quarterback injuries of, say you have a quarterback that goes down and you feel like your team can still compete. Do they look for the possibility of a trade? And I know like a guy like Shadir Sanders was thrown out there with Joe Burrow's injury after this last week and how
Hmm.
that Bengals offense looked. I don't know. Do you throw in Shadir just to say, what the hell and
Yeah.
try it out? I don't know.
It could be possible. Like I say, you don't have to give up too much for him or Dylan Gabriel. So it's sort of the
Hmm.
Browns having to sort of evaluate which quarterback do we want to keep? Which one are we going to trust to possibly be our franchise quarterback of the future? Because you got to get
For
rid of
sure.
one of them. It's just which one do you have the trust in? And both of them, just based off preseason, don't look that great. But like we've said,
Yeah,
quarterbacks, when you're in Cleveland, never looks great until you leave. So,
that's right. Yeah, look at Baker.
yep, look at Baker. So,
So, yeah.
but yeah, but that's some NFL. What one other, and this is a stat I saw and sort of want to get your take on it. So it
Hmm.
compares CJ Stroud and Caleb Williams. I don't know if you've seen the stat.
Yes, ever
Yeah.
since their conversation.
Ever
It's a good
since that
stat.
week two conversation, at the end of the game, the stats have been CJ Stroud has thrown for 3,832 yards, 19 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. Caleb Williams has thrown for 3,989 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. So my question for you is, who's in a worse situation, Caleb or CJ?
Oof. It's crazy how quick the tables can turn because I think CJ Stroud is in a worse position. And there's a lot of talk now that this is more than just a sophomore slump.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of it, though, is to contribute to a terrible O line. Like
Yeah.
they just don't block to save their life.
Hmm.
And he just doesn't have any weapons anymore. He has
Hmm.
Nico Collins, but you double team him, and then Christian Kirk is barely back from
Yep.
being injured. And then you look at Caleb Williams, where he has a bunch of weapons. He has a new coach who had a ton of success with Detroit.
Hmm.
The situation is just a lot better.
Yeah.
I feel like Caleb Williams, the future might be brighter at this point in time. It's
Yeah.
crazy to say. But Caleb Williams looked great. And, one thing I will say that I really enjoyed watching was Caleb Williams turning it loose a bit.
Hmm.
Where, he's had the really low interception count, obviously, over the last, year. But those deep balls he was throwing looked great. I think
Hmm.
Adunze caught a big one, right? And
Yeah.
then he had another, trick play to Burden.
Hmm.
And, it's that's what I think the Bears need. And they look great doing it. Again,
Hmm.
Cowboys defense. But if
Yeah.
they can do that more often, even against better
Hmm.
defenses, recipe for success.
Hmm.
What do you
Yeah.
think?
I think the same. I think what Caleb has in the Bears, it's a lot better than what CJ Stroud has on Houston, coaching wise as well. Um, I think that's a better team, and they're finding ways to click it in Chicago, where in Houston they're going off of his first season, which you could say now is a bit of a fluke season because he hasn't been able to do it again the last few years, and it is because he doesn't have the weapons, Mixon was supposed to be a guy that really helped him, and he's out with injuries. And like I say, Chubb isn't the guy. I think Woody Marks might be a better option to sort of get
Hmm.
that development because Chubbs isn't going to help you win the game. Um, but his confidence, he just doesn't look the same as he did that first year. And like you sort of say, that what the the wording you use with Caleb Williams. Just let him loose. CJ Stroud doesn't seem like he's just letting loose. It seems like he's trying to play a system, and that system isn't working for him.
Exactly. And I don't know if we want to kind of point to head coaching. Uh, I really like D'Amico Ryans, especially because he was great with the 49ers coaching
Yeah.
staff and he was, tremendous there. But defensive coach
Hmm.
trying to, lead an offense.
Yep.
I feel like it can make a bit
Hmm.
of a difference at times. And again, like there's nothing cooking, on
Yeah.
that offense at all. Like it's
Hmm.
boring. It seems like they can not even get in within field goal range. Like 19 carries, 87 yards. Not one running back had more than 10 carries this game.
Yep.
Nico Collins played well, but that was due in part to that one big play.
Hmm.
Um, and it's just there's not a whole lot of stuff
Yeah.
for him to throw to. And then, zero time to even pass the ball. So, yeah, CJ Stroud, man, it's how quickly things can change is
Hmm.
insane. But then, yeah, looking at Caleb, you open it up a bit. They have, plenty of, big play
Yeah.
threats there. They have good veteran talent. They have a decent defense. Like, yeah, they could probably make something happen.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just
They,
finding the coaching, the scheming for Caleb that helps Caleb be successful in
Mhm.
this league. So, but yeah, you know, Burden or Luther, you talked about him, I think, preseason. It's going to be a guy to look out for,
Yeah,
and he showed up this week.
he did finally. Yeah, only a matter of times.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, the big play threat
Yeah.
clearly has the
But yeah.
talent.
But yeah, but that's let's say I think we've been on NFL for quite a bit. Anything else that stands out for you, Tim, NFL wise?
Um, no, I think that was it. Chiefs real quick. Sorry,
Hmm.
just real quick. We just
Uh,
got to sneak a little Chiefs. Um, even in a win, looked pretty underwhelming.
yeah.
Not impressed whatsoever in
Hmm.
that team. It's Kelsey loves to get into body stomach punches with Andy Reid for some reason.
Yeah.
It seems like it happens every other week with them. The Chiefs have zero run game. Um, uh, yeah, even the passing game isn't great.
Yeah.
Tyquan Thornton is your lead pass catcher. Hollywood Brown not doing jack shit. It's
Like we said, we've
yeah.
called it. Like I said, those
Yep.
people that said Hollywood Brown was going to be a difference maker, like, where are you now? Um,
Yep.
it, for us, it's another tough week because we're playing the Chiefs this coming week, and the way
Oof.
we're playing, it's just we need this win. We need it against the
Yeah.
Chiefs, but knowing the way the NFL works, um, we'll see what we could do.
But so far, John, they aren't getting the calls.
They
In
aren't.
a lot of these
Hmm.
circumstances, they aren't. And it just goes to show, finally
Yeah.
the NFL listened a bit, and maybe the tides are turning a bit in favoring the Eagles more than anything now because,
Hmm.
with the tush push false starts,
Hmm.
they're getting more benefit, and maybe they just turned away from, maybe that ship has kind of sailed with the Chiefs,
That could be.
because they saw the downturn. They're
Hmm.
just getting older and the threats aren't
Yeah.
there anymore. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So we'll see. I hope for a win. It's going to be a tough week for us Ravens, but we're we're always supporting the team. It's going to be one of those weeks.
absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Other side of the ball, real quick though. Cam Scatabo, love the way he plays. He's so much
Yeah.
fun to watch. He's a
He's a
beast.
fun running back. Tyrone Tracy seems like a shoulder injury, might be out a few weeks, so we'll
Yep,
sort of see Scatabo take over for a bit. Um,
he had a great
but yeah,
game.
yeah, he had a good game. Giants just put Dart in.
Suck.
Just time to put Dart. Uh,
Yeah, I agree. Start time.
but we'll see what they do this week. I think this week is the first week of international games too, huh? We have a
I think that's right.
I think it's our first international game, so getting up early to watch some football, which
Well, I guess there was Brazil week 1.
Or the
with
yeah,
Chargers Chiefs.
I always forget that one. But that's not
Yeah.
as international, I think, as Europe for us, just based off of
Yeah.
time wise.
Yeah,
Because
start times. Pittsburgh, Minnesota. And is that London
yeah, London, I
or
think it is.
Germany?
I think it's
Okay.
London.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ireland, Dublin, Ireland.
Oh,
Wow.
it's Dublin? Oh, okay. It's the Dublin
Yeah,
game.
very cool. Very
Yeah.
nice.
We'll see how those go. International games I felt like were always not the best entertainment. Just they struggled.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Hopefully it's a different year.
Make sure you
Um,
set your lineups.
yes, set
Be
those
wary of
lineups
those
if you
early
have
games.
Pittsburgh Vikings playing.
That's right.
But we'll go on to just our next topic, MLB postseason. So we're getting close. Wild card starts September 30th. So we're starting to sort of see the postseason picture shape up a little bit. There's still a few teams up there in the race, and now it's mostly the Mets that are sort of Mets and Cincinnati that are sort of fighting for that last spot in the wild card, whereas, in the American League, Astros and Guardians are sort of there fighting for that final berth, and then Tigers, Blue Jay, Yankees, Mariners, Astros. A lot of those teams are still fighting for just trying to get a better seeding, um, get home field advantage, and also not be in the wild card or join the party. So, um, as of right now, if the season ended today, Monday, um, September 22nd, AL first place we got the Toronto Blue Jays, second Seattle Mariners, third Detroit, who would be facing the number six team, Cleveland Guardians, and then the Yankees, number four, facing the Boston Red Sox at number five. Um, how do you see this American League going if it ended? Just based off
Um,
what you know now.
like World Series wise or like playoff? Just solely
Playoff,
playoff,
and
like
then
who's gonna make
yeah,
it?
yeah, who's gonna do well?
Um,
Who's your favorite so far for the World Series?
yeah. It's tough, because you have teams where, let's say the Houston Astros, they have, some veteran talent. They're
Hmm.
always there. Are always just a threat in the playoffs altogether. But then you have some newcomers, kind of like Seattle, who's
Hmm.
really interesting and entertaining. Cal Raleigh just continues to hit bombs. And then likewise with Detroit. I so Yankees are of course still in it,
Hmm.
except I'm not a huge proponent on Yankee baseball in the playoffs. I don't know if they just really got it in them. Uh, Last year, obviously made it to the World Series, but I don't know, man. It just wasn't. Dodgers just looked way better.
Yeah.
And I think that this year's a lot different. I think that there's a lot better teams that could make more of a run.
Hmm.
Toronto has the elements. I don't know if it. I haven't followed them closely enough. They have some big bats, obviously,
Hmm.
with Vlad. They have good pitching. Um, but I don't know. Teams like Seattle and Detroit, I think could make a good run at it. I feel
Hmm.
like I think Seattle, for example, has a really good balance of hitters and pitchers. Their pitching staff,
Hmm.
from Brian Wu to Castillo, I feel like
Hmm.
the talent's there. And then hitting wise, they have huge bats.
Yep.
I feel like T-Mobile, is it T-Mobile Stadium? I forget what the name of
Yeah.
it. Safeco is what I've always known it as. It's I feel like it's a ballpark that, really favors the home team,
Hmm.
versus, for example, Yankee Stadium, short
Yeah.
porches, anybody get in a home run there. But Seattle, it's a lot tougher, and then you have a crowd behind you. I just think that if they get, the possibility of winning that division and having home field advantage could make a big difference and allow them to make a run.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, I like Seattle and Detroit, I think, out of the AL, to make it to the World Series.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm on the same boat. I think it's Seattle, Detroit could make that run. I like Seattle's pitching and their hitting. They have a great,
Mhm.
solid squad, which could make that run. Detroit too, the pitching, hitting. They've had consistent hitters. But you mentioned it, Houston. That's a team if they're able to squeeze in to the wild card, it's a team you can't count out just because of their experience, their veteran players. Um, New York, I'm not too big of a fan. I think Boston could take him, but Boston also is a team that's been struggling at times. They made a run just to be able to make it into the wild card, so we'll see how they do. And Toronto, I think they have the bats pitching too, but I don't see them as much as Seattle or Detroit. I think one of those teams could be the surprise to make it. If not, it's gonna be either New York or Houston if they make it. If Houston makes it into the wild card.
For sure. Yeah, no, same thoughts. I will
Yeah.
say playoff baseball in Toronto is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The crowd's there back when
Hmm.
Bautista was there. Oh man,
Oh yeah.
those that Texas Rangers Toronto series was
Yeah.
so electric.
Yeah.
Love that baseball.
Yeah. So that's ALCS or American League. National League. Number one, you got the Milwaukee Brewers. Number two,
Hmm.
Philadelphia Phillies. And then you got the number three team, the Dodgers, versus number six, as of right now, Cincinnati Reds. And then the number four team, Chicago Cubs versus the San Diego Padres. Um, your thoughts on this National League, Tim?
Um, Brewers are very, 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 very good. Bats, pitching, they have,
Hmm.
young talent to veteran talent. I think the Brewers have a legitimate chance at, making a run to the
Hmm.
World Series this year. I think if it comes down to it, seeing Dodgers Brewers, in an NLCS, I think would be a really fun
That'd be good.
series. Um, Philadelphia, always there,
Hmm.
always present. Um, but big injury, with the pitching staff,
Hmm.
earlier this year. And then, their bats do come alive. But Trey Turner, I know he's been on the IL for a bit now. Um, Schwarber, Harper, Marsh has been good. Um, I don't know. I just don't know if I see it in them for this season. I
Hmm.
think that they'll be an electric team, fun team to watch in playoffs.
Yeah.
Um, but my dad's going to hate me for saying this because he doesn't want me to put a hex on it. But I really like the Chicago Cubs, and I've told him that since the start of the season. I said your Cubbies look great, and then he's like, "Oh, the bullpen sucks," or he'll make up something to
Yeah.
put a downturn on it, and I'm like, "Dude, come on, like your team's legit," and they need to extend Tucker after this season as well. They need bats. They
Hmm.
need to keep bats there, but their pitching is phenomenal as well.
Yeah.
I think that the Cubs have a really, really good chance at making a run. But those top three teams in the NL are so freaking tough to compete against with Phillies, Dodgers, Brewers. Dodgers, their record, I don't know how they have that record, to be honest with you.
No.
It seems like they've lost a ton, but they're
Yeah.
still 20 games over 500. It's
Yeah.
outrageous.
Yeah. No, I agree. M Milwaukee's a team I'm scared of. I'm a Dodger fan, so I hope it's the Dodgers in the World Series. But I think I've said it here before. Dodgers always struggle versus teams that wear red. And if it's Cincinnati we
Mm.
face, that's already one tough red team. Uh, and then if we get past that, it's the Phillies. And that's another tough one, so they're gonna have to get through my little superstition. And I think if they get through it, I think we can make it. I think, it'll most likely be Milwaukee is who I have picked. Um, but I can't count out the Cubs, but you also can't count out the Padres. I hate to say it, but Padres have a solid squad when they get it together. They had the chance to take over, you know, the our division, but they just stink just as much without injuries. They just stink naturally, whereas we're just struggle with injuries. Um, but yeah, it's gonna be good. I would want to see Milwaukee in there. I'd want to see Milwaukee in the World Series. Seeing Christian Yelich, a hometown guy, there and maybe
Hmm.
even being able to win it would be nice. But I still hope I still have some hope for the Dodgers. They're coming together towards the end when it matters most. And that's what it usually is. It's those teams that are doing well at the end of the season take that momentum into the playoffs. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. No, looking at the Cincinnati Reds depth chart as well. Uh, good pitching from start to finish.
Hmm.
They have good bats. Ellie De La Cruz. They
Hmm.
made a good trade earlier this year with Cabrian Hayes.
Hmm.
The outfield's good. Gavin Lux, former Dodgers there.
Yeah.
He's serviceable for sure. A lot of talent and could be a scary team come playoff time. It's like one of those
Hmm.
teams where, it's like, yeah, not only the red factor, John, it's just it's a sneaky team.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Well,
but going, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say let's hope the Mets get in there because we know the Mets are just
Oh
choke
yeah.
artists, so it'll make it easy
No,
for
that's the
us.
team you want. Yeah, especially. Absolutely. Because, even you bring up a great point with the Mets too, because Dodgers would have home field for that series. Mets on the road, 31 and 44.
Hmm.
Really bad on the road.
Yep.
One of the worst teams in the NL on the road. Um, Golly, third worst team on the road
Hmm.
in all of the NL. And then obviously very good at home.
Yeah.
But ew, yikes. Not a good combo.
Yeah.
Um, Padres, I don't know. I feel like I have less confidence in them this year than I
Okay.
have in previous
Previous.
years. Manny Machado's had kind of a bleh year in a way.
Hmm.
I think that he's been kind of underwhelming at times. Sorry, I'm just kind of going into their stats here. But I don't know. Yeah, Machado, 26 homers, 93 RBIs. Yeah, good statistical year, but I don't know. I've seen
Hmm.
better. He's hitting 274. Usually I feel like it's a bit higher than that. I don't know. Again, I feel like it's a more underwhelming Padres
Yeah.
teams than previous seasons.
Yeah, they are more like I say, they should have taken over our division. We went on the Dodgers before was it before or after the All-Star break? Like we just went on a horrible streak where Padre fans were saying they were excited they took over first place for I think it was a day and a half. Then
Yep.
we took it back and never looked back. So it shows how dominant we are. It shows how much of a more complete team we are. But I feel like the Padres, if they could get it together, they could get there. They have the bats, they have a good pitching rotation, but it's just like, can they get it together? And I'll say it. I've said it before. The manager, not an elite manager. We talk a lot
Yeah.
about eliteness here, and that's not an elite manager to take you to the big show. So we'll see. Padres, Cubs. I do think Cubs take it, but we'll see. You can't count out anybody, I think, in the National League unless you're the Mets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, the NL is super strong.
Yeah.
It's going to be, in my opinion, I feel like the better conference to
Yeah.
watch in the playoffs. Even the Padres pitching, sorry, just back to the Padres really quick, just
Hmm.
really underwhelming.
You're
Dylan
you're
Cease
you're
was 8 and
you're
12
you're
this year.
you're hating more than I am, Tim.
I know.
And
Well,
he's a
when
Giant
when
fan,
your
you
best
guys.
exactly, come at me. But Nick Pavetta's your best pitcher at 13 and
Mhm.
5. Yeah, great season, but man, he's older,
Oh yeah, no,
I
yeah,
been around, I feel like I don't know, I feel like they're hittable.
they are.
It's,
Yeah,
yeah, that's
they've
just
lost
how
some
I'm
easy
thinking.
games. I think the one of their last series against the White Sox, they were just getting dominated by the White Sox, which is surprising to let that happen.
Hmm.
With your team almost pretty much healthy compared to like the Dodgers, who we I think we got raked by the White Sox too. But like I said, look at our pitching rotation. Look at how we've been doing compared to you guys injury wise. So uh, we'll see. But one thing I read about today, Tim, and want to get your thoughts. There's a lot of teams mad at the Dodgers right now. A lot of people mad at
Okay.
us. And it's because of the Shohei Ohtani rule. Um,
Hmm.
and it's the first time it's ever going to be implemented in the playoffs because Ohtani, when he was an Angel, never made the playoffs. Um,
Hmm.
but from what they're saying and what people are mad are that the Dodgers are going to be able to carry their 13 pitchers, and Ohtani doesn't have to be designated as a pitcher. He's going to be in there as a designated hitter. So we have 14 pitchers. So we have that one up on everybody because he is that two-way player. And a lot of people are mad because it's not fair. Why? Blah 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 blah. Learn, for me, it's like it's a rule. All these old heads of baseball, like the rules are the rules. These are the rules that you guys
Hmm.
set. Deal with it, huh?
Yeah, I mean, if they don't like it, go find another Shohei.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's coming
Yeah.
from a Giants fan. Yeah, what irks me more is the deferred money thing.
Oh
I
yeah.
think that's some
I
bullshit.
get that.
I
I,
will
I
I
get
will
that.
always say that.
Get rich.
But
Just get rich, you guys.
just get rich. That's all it is. You know, but altogether, just go find somebody who can do that. Good luck.
Mhm.
I mean, I get it. I
Yeah.
quite frankly, I feel like it's kind of probably rubbing people even more the wrong way because they know pitching is an area where you guys are really vulnerable. So
Hmm.
I think being able to carry that extra, pitcher through this
Hmm.
irks probably a lot. It adds some spice to the
Yeah.
anger for sure. But again, rule's a rule, made it
Yeah.
happen. But I guess they're considering, Shohei possibly doing some middle relief,
Hmm.
possibly, DH, obviously. I think that they've even thrown out, he's open to playing some outfield at some point in
Hmm.
time. So yeah, see what happens. But
Yeah.
I mean, again, go find a guy that can do that, and I'm sure you'd be fine with it if it's on your team.
Yeah. I get it. I understand, because it's a little off of the rules of what it normally is, but it's like if Shohei was on the Red Sox, on the Yankees, the conversations may be the same. If Shohei was on the Brewers, would people be saying the same thing? I think a lot of it is a lot more attention because it's the Dodgers. Like you say, the deferred money is already something that's rubbing people the wrong way, and now this extra one up. But it's like you say, go find another player like that. And honestly, I think people seeing what Shohei is getting paid, the deferred money, a lot of these younger players are going to start developing into two-way players. I feel like in the
Mhm.
next 10 years, we're going to see a lot more two-way players that are at Shohei type of levels.
Yeah, especially with where arm talent's becoming, where it seems so easy for a lot of players to throw mid to upper 90s
Yeah.
and then also have, a great way to hit. I too strongly believe that, and that they don't have to hyper focus on one out of the
Hmm.
two trades, and that, athleticism, all of the tools and training that's out there for younger players.
Yeah.
um, yeah, we're going to see a lot more of it.
Hmm.
It'll just quite frankly happen more often. So,
Yeah.
especially if it's like a middle relief situation, they don't even have to be a starter
Yeah.
like Shohei is. Throw them out there middle relief
Yeah.
to go throw an inning and be Mason Miller-esque and throw 104 real quick, and then go back and hit 30 bombs a year. I mean,
Yep.
it's going to happen.
It's gonna happen. So yeah, I saw that today. I was like, oh, these people are already hating on us. And I'm like, and we're still gonna be a team that struggles this season. So let's see if we can go
Hmm.
back to back. It'll be a tough one, but that's the postseason picture so far. It doesn't end till I think the postseason starts the 30th. I think the last
Hmm.
game's, end of this week. So there's still, like I say, Astros, Mets are the two teams still fighting for that last wild card spot. So there's still a lot of important games out there. The AL really, a lot of those teams are still playing for better seeding. It's still very close
Hmm.
within reach. So, let's say baseball. This is a time of the year I think a lot of people like watching baseball, including myself. Watch it a lot more.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, I completely agree, especially when your team's involved. At times it can be hard to watch Giants baseball when you go on a run and then, we start losing to teams like St. Louis. um, you know, or divisional teams like Arizona, where we just can't win two of
Yeah.
our last 10. So,
No.
but yeah, no, again, I will say probably be rooting Cubs. You know,
Hmm.
just do the family connections there, but um, yeah, no, it's fun.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah. No, I'm rooting Dodger Red Sox World Series just to have two families and then Dodgers back to back.
Hmm.
Be able to rub it.
Split
Ru
household.
Split households for a while. You know, might be sleeping in the living room a few days, but it's okay as long as we win it against the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Get that revenge for a few years ago.
Yeah. You're like, I'm taking my Dodger blanket to the couch.
Yeah. It's the way it'll be.
Rep it over
Yeah.
there. That's
But
awesome.
yeah, that's baseball talk, a little bit of baseball talk. Like I said, it's going to be that time of the year, so we'll bring up a little bit more, recap that. But one of the things we'll go into our pixel films, talking about movies, and sort of doing a recap because Tim had the chance to go out to the movies and saw the latest movie of The Conjuring and well, wanted to get your thoughts a little bit, Tim, what I thought because I did see it
Hmm.
opening weekend and just overall a little horror talk.
Yeah. Was super stoked to get out to the movies, especially for a movie like The Conjuring. Me and Jen are huge horror film fans, so um, that was a ton of fun to get out and watch. This was a great movie, in my opinion. I feel like it really brought the franchise back in a great way. The second one was really bleh, in my opinion. I think
Hmm.
that this one just revived everything. The aspects of it, the way it was put together.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I guess, are we going to go full spoiler mode here, John? Should we put
Yeah.
like a little,
Yeah, this
we'll put a,
disclaimer to anybody listening. If you haven't
sure.
seen it and want to watch it, spoiler alert ahead, so mute it,
Yeah.
for a while.
Skip through
Uh
this part.
yeah, skip through there. Like I said, we have the timeline in the description, so just go to that next segment in the timeline to avoid any spoilers.
Love it. Yeah, no, important little asterisk to put
Hmm.
there, but yeah, you know, overall, I thought that the way that they involved their kiddo into it, their daughter, and
Hmm.
you know, really kind of correlating something from birth, you know, to adulthood and what was driving her back to a certain
Hmm.
object, and you know, the aspect and how creepy, you know, a lot of that stuff was. As far as creepiness levels go, and I was actually going to bring up a hot take for you. Maybe
Hmm.
I will for next week. But well, no, I'm going to give it away right now.
Yeah.
I was going to say that the theatrics and the way that horror movies are filmed could arguably be the best in my
Hmm.
opinion, because in scenes where, for example, in I was like trying to duck behind my popcorn bucket with this, but you know, when the girl is watching the VHS tape back of blowing
Hmm.
out the candles and she keeps on rewinding, going forward, you know, back and forth, and then you see her reflection in there, it just leaves so much ominous space where it's
Hmm.
like, is somebody going to pop up behind her in the
Yeah.
screen, or is something going to happen on the VHS? Super creepy. And then just to have that come up, and,
Hmm.
you know, it just happened to be that creepy guy with the axe. That was insane.
Yeah.
Um, but you know, and then other scenes when they go dress shopping and she's stuck in that mirrored room, you
Oh yeah.
instantly knew. Like I said it out loud, and I think the couple next to us started laughing, where I was like, "Ah, shit, why that room?" And then I just knew something crazy was about to happen,
Yeah.
and it did. And that scene where underneath the dress, she's there poking her, like, and the witch lady, I'm getting chills right now. That was the scariest one in the film. The axe guy was, yeah, creepy, but I wasn't as afraid of him. And Jen feels the same way. That the old witch lady.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, oh,
Yeah.
brutal,
Yeah.
brutal. But yeah, a great film though.
No, yeah, yeah. The way those horror movies do it, I think they've learned to sort of leave you at that suspense because I think that scene you mentioned, the VHS, every time she'd rewind it, I was sort of looking everywhere other than what the VHS was showing because I was like, where are you going to pop out from? And then it just sort of does it so differently that it sort of does startle you because that's what I think this series and a lot of the new horror movies do. It's like they sort of misdirect you, it's like because you're always trying to predict it, as horror fans. I think a lot of times we're like, oh, we already know what's going to happen. This is going to happen. It's going to pop out there. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, wait, it didn't. And then all of a sudden it pops out and you're just like, oh shit, and it just gets you off
Hmm.
guard, because yeah, I remember a lot of those scenes, especially with the witch lady. You could see people in the movie theater going ah, and like some of them had their blankets. You see the blankets just like go up high in the air. I was like, oh yeah, it got us, but
Yeah.
they were good.
Exactly. Vera mentioned here in the live, John.
Oh,
She's glad the dog survived, and
oh
yes,
yeah,
poor pup, golden retriever, shoved thrown into the wall.
yeah,
That was brutal.
yeah.
And I, I so for that's one question I have where it felt like they tried really hard to bring Annabelle into this. When again, Annabelle's, really big. She's probably
Hmm.
correlated to the mirror in some way, I guess. But
Uh,
do you know the correlation of why they tried
I
so hard with Annabelle?
I think it's more the family because Annabelle comes sort of from. I think it's the first film where they introduced Annabelle the doll. It wasn't the movie Annabelle, but they sort of brought in the doll and how sort of
Mm,
Ed and Lorraine sort of came into it. Uh, and then because the daughter wasn't incorporated until I don't know if it was the second or the third one where she sort of started having nightmares and sort of like seeing, I think it was like going into the room, seeing the room and seeing the doll. And I think it's just those nightmares that she would get from
right.
the horror stuff. So I think that's why they incorporated it. And it's sort of like that childhood thing of where when you see a doll that scares you, you have nightmares about it. And it's that horror thing. For me, honestly, when I was younger, there was a time Chucky. I hated Chucky. I could not see that movie. That movie would scare the shit out of me. Nowadays, I'm
Yeah.
okay with it. I could deal with him. But there
Yeah.
were times when I would see that movie and I literally wanted to cry just because it scared me so much, that doll. But like I say,
Yep.
and I think that's sort of how they incorporated Annabelle, sort of to bring Annabelle back and sort of that full circle moment. Because like I said, Annabelle was
Okay.
introduced first movie and now sort of talked about a little bit in the second movie and was somewhat of a big thing in it. So, um, but yeah, it was really good how they incorporated it. The dog, yes. Anytime I see a dog get hurt in a movie, we see. I look over at Vera, and you can tell she's a little more concerned about the animal. That's
You're
why
right.
we're gonna go probably
Uh,
see that Good Boy movie, and I know
oh
she's
yeah.
not gonna. It's gonna be a hard one for her
Uh,
if something
you're
happens to
right.
that dog. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
That looks like a phenomenal film too, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's that was brutal with the dog. I felt bad
Mm.
for him. Glad to
Yeah.
see that, he was chipper at
Uh,
the end and all good
yeah.
to go. Um, but yeah, just her taking that form and definitely a chills moment was Lorraine walking into the room and not seeing her daughter in the bed anymore, and then turning and seeing her daughter hunched in the corner with that little giggle, like the Annabelle
Oh
laugh.
yeah.
Oh
Oh
my
yeah.
God. That was horrible.
Yeah,
That was
there were a lot of moments in this movie that I like I say, you mentioned it. The best one since that first one. Second one I think was okay. I think it was like the
Mhm,
third. I think there's a third and fourth one that were meh, sort of created the story that
mhm.
sort of came to this. And what I enjoyed was at the end how they brought like the characters, some of the characters from I think it was the first and second one back
Oh yeah,
during that wedding scene. So that was cool to sort of see that, it showed that, they helped these families and they still kept in touch.
for sure. Was the guy with the bite mark, was he the cop, if I'm not mistaken, or was he part of the
Um,
film crew?
I think he was part of the film crew.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, because they had the film crew there, but yeah, I enjoyed that too. It
Mhm.
was like, oh wow, yeah, look at them now, and
Yeah.
it was nice how they kind of tied all that in.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, man, crazy film, and then I joked afterwards, like with Jen, like the obviously the daughter is getting married, and she has her husband, but her husband saw her take the form of being ultra possessed, and then it's
Yeah.
like, so when does he go back and start kissing her again? Because I would always picture that. Oh my gosh,
It's probably
yeah.
a tough one. They had to get through that hump, because
Oh,
yeah,
dude.
I don't think you'll ever get that memory out of your head, especially when that mirror was sort of almost gonna take your ankle off.
Oh,
So
dude, yeah. Oh, yeah. That cringe watching, his leg get all cut up. That was
yeah,
brutal. But
Uh,
no, great film. I loved it, man. Oh,
yeah,
one last thing. The priest scene was
oh
creepy as
yeah,
hell.
yeah.
Oh my
And
gosh.
unfortunate for that priest to have
Yep.
that to have happened, but sort of brought how demonic the frame was that they went, in the story, and like I say, how it sort of brought everything together. Um, but yeah,
Hmm.
that scene was crazy. I didn't
Yeah.
expect them to take him out.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, no, that was shocking. And right before that, I felt like, much of our theater had a good laugh with, how quickly he grabbed his coat and hat after the floor started steaming
Yeah. Yeah.
with the holy water.
Is it? It's
He's like,
crazy.
I'm out of here. Yeah, I got a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Oh,
the
it's
one thing.
insane.
The one thing like after this movie I've sort of thought about is like, man, these garage sales, I don't know if I ever want to go buy anything else again.
Ooh,
You know,
yeah.
because
Great point.
it's something they found at just a normal garage sale. It's like, you know,
Yeah.
it's freaky, because from what it says, it's based on real life.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, and yeah, that Jen likes the thrift.
Yeah.
We have we got I think a rocking chair somewhere in here. If that thing starts moving, that is in that. Well,
No.
if I throw it
Right.
in the trash, yeah, it'll come right back, and maybe
Yeah.
I'll start coughing up like wood chips or something.
Yeah, maybe. Just throw some holy water.
You
If you
know,
see the steam, then that's a sign.
yeah, maybe we'll just go resell it and say, suck it for free. Yeah, please.
$2. $2.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Take it.
Yeah, but no, yeah. Overall, great movie, great horror film, great way to sort of end that series. And from what I've
Yeah.
heard, they're making a TV series, so I'm excited to see how that goes.
Ooh.
But great horror movie. Like I said, the next one to come out is Good Boy coming out next week. Horror wise. I feel like there's probably more that's going to be sort of announced pretty soon because we're getting into October, Halloween time. So, um, you know, always good to see horror and Halloween.
For sure. Yeah, no, tis the season. This is it.
Hmm.
But yeah, it looks like there's going to be another Friday Night at Freddy's.
Oh yeah, that one.
Oh, one not really horror film, but one movie that I thought looked, like one of those that is probably going to get poor ratings but entertaining on, just entertainment purposes was Anaconda with Jack Black and Paul Rudd.
Oh
I
yeah,
think that looks pretty entertaining. Honestly, I think
it,
I would like to
yeah.
watch that.
I think it'll be they'll throw in the comedic stuff and just how it is. But yeah, I'm excited to
Hmm.
see that one. I'll probably watch that one as well.
Yeah, no, it looks good.
Yeah.
In both great actors, so be
Yeah,
fun.
no. Yeah, great actor. So, but yeah, that's just films. Like I said, there isn't much more. We want to watch The Long Walk. There, like I said, it's time for some more movies to come out that are coming out, so we're sort of gonna plan some stuff. Saw him, the Jordan Peele movie. Um,
Oh, okay.
Meh, not the best. Uh,
Hmm. Wow.
Cinematically was pretty interesting. The
Okay.
story, I think it's just something that may be hard for a lot of people to understand or to get into, but
Hmm.
I think overall it's probably not one of his top movies compared to Get Out, Nope, um, all his other ones, Us, uh, but very, very different. But like I say, I enjoyed it. but it's not like, oh, go watch it. I'd be like, if you're interested, go for it. If you like Marlon Wayans, go for it. He does pretty well. It's something different for him. But don't
Hmm.
expect the same type of Jordan Peele movie that the other ones have been in the past.
Oh, well. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I'm gonna have to read more reviews on that. I did see something with Marlon Wayans kind of taking on, a different acting style, right? Like
Yeah.
something a bit more serious
Yeah.
versus
Which he did
comedic.
really,
So
which he did really good at. So, like I said, I just think it was just a
good.
story, the storytelling, a little different than what we probably expected. So I think that's sort of what is the meh for me. So,
Got it.
but
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Nice.
like I said, more movies to come out. Like I said, whenever I get a chance, I'll share a little bit about it. Like I said, didn't give spoilers for him. So, but if you want to watch it, go for it. But I would say maybe
Yeah.
wait till streaming. To be honest,
There you go.
yeah,
No, it's good. That's an honest review right there. It kind of a little bit of a fall lull, huh?
yeah.
Right now with movies. There's
Hmm.
obviously blockbuster after blockbuster this
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah.
A bit of a lull, then maybe pick back up again, huh?
Yeah, usually picks back up I think November because it's like the end of like the award season movies that qualify for the Oscars and the Golden Globes. So they'll start coming out soon.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Just look this up. Going to be a new Exorcist film coming out in 2026. So
Okay, nice.
that'll be
Those
interesting.
are always
All
good.
right.
Or they've been good,
Mhm.
some of them. Um,
Yeah. No,
but yeah,
definitely. I agree.
that's our movie talk, horror movie talk. One thing I wanted to bring up, or like I said, we always talk for a while, but this
Too
came
easy.
across. I would say that I was going to say this came across my desk, but it came across my feed. Uh, LimeWire just bought Fire Festival. I don't know if you saw that.
I did. Yes.
Yeah,
It happened. I think I saw it like a
a
couple days
few.
ago. I don't know
Yeah,
when it
it's
happened,
like
but
5, 6 days
um,
ago. But yeah,
yeah,
LimeWire buying Firefest for 245K. So Billy McFarland, hopefully you do something smart with that 245, or I think you have to pay everybody back still. So that probably is
yeah,
going towards all those people you owe money to.
it's
Uh
a percent of it.
yeah. But one interesting thing I read, and I haven't had a chance to sort of search into it a little bit more. Ryan Reynolds' company Maximum Effort wanted to buy Firefest, but they got
Mm,
outbid
mhm.
by LimeWire. Why do you think he was trying to do that?
Hmm. It's a great question. I
Y-
it would kind of match his name right now,
True,
honestly.
true.
Bit of a fraud. Just kidding. Sorry, I don't want to call him out too much like that until it hits court. Um, I don't know. Obviously he's known to get into investing.
Hmm.
He had aviation gen ride soccer team.
Hmm. Mint
He's had
Mobile.
good Mint Mobile. Yeah, he's had a ton of success, outside of film, and maybe he thought that he could flip this one around too. But quite frankly, I think he's just kind of got to read the room. I don't know how many
Hmm.
people want to get involved with him right now, because
Yeah.
of, all the Blake and Ryan stuff going on. Um, but again, that's not only saying that they're guilty with it, but it's just, affiliation with it and,
Hmm.
where it's at.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, that's my only guess is that he's had previous success doing it.
Hmm.
But I have no idea what he would want to turn it into. Have you
Yeah.
read anything, or what's your opinion?
No, I haven't read too much. I know he congratulated LimeWire for the purchase and sort of saying he still wants to try to work with him. And I'm just trying to figure out like why, like what is the purpose, like why, like first question is why do you want to help Billy McFarland after he frauded so many innocent people years ago, went to jail for it, and why do you want to partner with him? And second, LimeWire too, technically, a lot of artists hate LimeWire because it was stealing their music, stealing videos, everything you could download from LimeWire back in the day. Um, So you're working with these two people that sort of don't have the best reputation within the entertainment industry. Like, and like you mentioned, Ryan Reynolds' name still big, but doesn't have the same effect it did probably before all of this stuff between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. So, do you really
Hmm.
think your name nowadays could change this this festival? Like I say, you before your main artist would have been Taylor Swift. You would have had her there. Now you're not even gonna get Taylor Swift to even sniff, Fire Festival if you're behind it. Like, who's gonna work with you? I think there still will be some people, but I don't know how successful it can be. So it's just interesting to see that he was trying to purchase this 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 festival.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. Like, this would have made a lot more sense like back when Blake and Taylor were
Hmm.
friendly.
Yeah.
Um, but now, like, I think a lot of people side the opposite way where it's like, we all saw the for example, the SNL awards and them
Hmm.
attending and their off kilter jokes that they had and reading the room and
Yeah.
just even a photo around them was like, why are you guys here?
Yeah.
Is kind of vibe. Um, so again, you're taking Fire Festival, which is branded after, fraud and people not wanting to have affiliation with it, and combining that with a little bit of your own.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know, man.
No.
That's it's an odd, but what's 240,000 for him? I guess at this
Yeah.
point, I,
Yeah.
I don't
Like I
know.
say, it could have if it works out. Like I say, if you could have bought it for 245, it's chump change for him. Probably still, if he could make it work out, he would be probably popular again. Maybe it was his way to sort of bring a fun new festival that's in in the beach the way it was supposed to be and make it actually happen and sort of be that savior of festivals. And if it failed, it's like, well, it's all behind Firefest. Wasn't me. I just gave money to try to make it successful and they didn't do the right thing. So, he would have gotten out with it. And like you say, still been in the same boat he is currently in. So, mm,
Hmm.
could be smart on his end, but I don't know. It's just weird to sort of see his name affiliated with wanting to purchase Fire Festival.
Do you think it's like a final ditch effort at relevancy right now because he's kind
Probably.
of been out of sight for a little while?
I think
Maybe that's
so
part of it.
because yeah, it could be part of it because rumor has it like he's not in the new Avenger movies when I think at first he was supposed to be, and who knows if that's because
Hmm.
of everything going on, other reasonings. It could just be, his character may not come until later, but it's like you don't see much with Ryan Reynolds other than his Wrexham stuff right now in his commercials.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's a total change. I guess we'll see.
Mhm.
What comes about with all this, but yeah, maybe
Yeah.
they can. Firefest can only go up. I
Yeah.
don't think it can
Okay,
get
it could
much
only
lower.
go up. Yeah. But yeah, I wanted to bring that up because saw it. But yeah, that's our show today. As always, we're building something here with Banter on the Rocks. Thank you to everybody that joined us, with our real talks, the good laughs, and our unfiltered takes. And as always, please, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Music. We're on all those platforms, and just let us know what you think. Leave your comments. We enjoy the bantering, that feedback, and hey, if you're someone who wants to get your brand out there, always check in with us. We're here to collab too, bring you onto the show. Let's have that conversation.
Absolutely. We cover many different topics, so we're always interested in, hearing what, your brand has and, just
Hmm.
learning more about it too. So, yeah, like John said, don't hesitate, reach out. We're an open book.
Yeah.
And enjoy getting to know everybody.
Yeah. But awesome. Everybody have a great weekend and we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for watching. Peace.